So, where do these big, game-changing ideas in education actually come from? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the most revolutionary of them all, the International Baccalaureate. You know, the IB. And it all started with one simple but really powerful question.
Just imagine it for a second. What if you could graduate high school in, say, Japan, and your diploma would get you into a university in Canada, or Brazil, or Germany? No fuss, no conversion, no questions asked. That exact idea, that what if, was the tiny spark that lit a fire under the entire world of education. To really get why the IB was such a big deal, we've got to rewind a bit. Let's go back to the 1960s, a time when everything was changing, and that included how people thought about school itself.
And wow, this slide just lays it all out, doesn't it? On one side, you have the old school way of doing things. Just memorize facts, listen to the teacher, and only learn about your own country. But on the other side, this new progressive idea was bubbling up. It was all about thinking for yourself, putting the student first, and understanding that the world is bigger than just your own backyard. It was a total clash of ideas.
Now, this whole new philosophy, it didn't just pop up overnight. It was built on the shoulders of some absolute giants in educational thinking, pioneers who really paved the way for the IB to even be possible.
First up, you've got John Dewey. He basically said that learning isn't about stuffing kids' heads with facts like they're empty buckets. Nope, it's about lighting a fire and tapping into the curiosity that they already have.
Then you have A.S. Neal. His idea was pretty radical for the time. He said, let's give kids the freedom to grow and develop without a bunch of rigid rules holding them back. He cared about the whole person, not just their test scores.
Next up, the brilliant Jean Piaget. His big breakthrough, realizing that kids' brains aren't just tiny versions of adult brains. He showed us that we all learn in very specific stages as we grow up, which completely changed how we teach.
And finally, Jerome Bruner. He was all about learning by doing. He argued that students learn to solve problems way better when they discover the answers for themselves, instead of just being told. So you see, all these thinkers were building the foundation, piece by piece, for something entirely new.
Okay, so you've got this amazing philosophy, but how do you actually turn all those great ideas into a real program that a school can actually teach? That was the next big hurdle.
And they didn't waste any time. Just look at this timeline. It was a whirlwind. The name gets suggested in '62, the whole organization gets officially set up in '68, the very first exams are taken in 1970, and by '75, they're already expanding to North America. This wasn't some slow-moving committee. This was a real movement.
Of course, a movement needs leaders, right? And the IB had some incredible ones. You had Robert Leach, kind of the original spark plug who got everyone together, John Gormati, the guy who gave it an official home, Alec Peterson was the mastermind behind the curriculum itself, and Kurt Hahn, whose own philosophies inspired a really key part of the program.
And here it is. This is what they built, the diploma program. And it was so much more than just a list of classes. Right at its core, you have these three amazing things. Theory of knowledge, which is all about asking how we know things, the extended essay, which is basically a mini college thesis, and CAS, creativity, activity, service, which made sure students were well-rounded people, not just bookworms.
Okay, so the diploma program was a huge hit, but the folks behind the IB thought, wait a minute, this way of thinking is great, but why should it only be for older teens? They saw the potential for a whole educational journey.
So, in 1994, they rolled out the Middle Years Program, or MYP. This was perfectly designed to help younger teens, from 11 to 16, build the skills and mindset they'd need for the diploma program later on. And just 3 years later, they went even younger with the Primary Years Program, the PYP. This brought that same spirit of discovery and curiosity to the littlest learners, starting from age 3. It was all about building that foundation of curiosity we heard about from John Dewey.
And they kept evolving. By 2012, they realized, not everyone is headed for the same traditional university path. So they created the career-related program. It's this brilliant mix of IB's tough academics with real-world, hands-on career skills.
So, we've got the idea, the thinkers, the programs. But what about the impact? This is where the story goes from being a cool educational experiment to a legit global force. Okay, get this. Back in 1971, a year after the first exams were held, there were only 7 IB World schools in the entire world. Just 7, a tiny little group of believers. Now, fast forward to 2016. Look at that number, over 4,500 schools.
I mean, from 7 schools to nearly 5,000, that growth is just mind-blowing. The world was catching on. But believe it or not, that number isn't even the most important part of the story.
See, here's the real game changer. In the beginning, the IB was pretty much only in exclusive private schools. But look at this chart. By 2016, more than half, 56%, were public state-funded schools. That's a huge deal. It shows the IB went from being something for the few to something for the many.
So you see this incredible journey, this idea that grew into a global movement, and it leaves you with a really big question, right? After changing education for half a century, what's the next step in that mission to create a better world?
In the end, it all comes back to this. The whole point of the IB isn't just about getting good grades or getting into college. It's about developing young people who are curious, who are knowledgeable, and who care enough to actually go out and create a better and more peaceful world. A mission that was born in the 1960s, but feels more urgent today than ever before.